All right, college algebra, linear equations, lesson 1.1. We're going to be solving linear equations. Okay. Looking at these problems here, and I hope you guys can see these okay. Select the correct choice that completes the sentence below. A blank is a statement that two expressions are equal. That's an equation. An equation is when you have two things equal. Like right here, 2 plus 3 equals 5. This is an equation because we have two things that are equal. We've got 2 plus 3 on this side that's equal to 5 over here on this side. And that's an equation. An equation, you have to have an equals. Something equals something. That's an equation. An identity may just be like the 2 plus 3. This is an identity right there of something, or an expression, you might say. Number 2. A blank, to blank an equation means to find all numbers that make the equation a true statement. That's solve. Solve. When you solve an equation, you're finding the numbers that make the equation work out. If I have 2x plus 5 equals 9, what would x have to be? Well, I think x would have to be 2. Because 2 times 2 would be 4, and 4 plus 5 would be 9. So 2 is the solution if I solve that. Here's some more terminology. A linear equation is a blank because the greatest degree of the variable is 1. All right, it's a first degree equation. This right here is a linear equation right there. This is x to the 1 degree. Now, if you go like x squared plus 5 equals 9, something like that right there. All right. Now, this would be a second degree equation because x is to the second power. And we'll get to some of those later on. Okay. Look at number 4 here. Decide whether this statement is true or false. The solution set of this equals this is -8. So what it's saying is -8 is the solution for this equation right here. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just do 4 times -8 minus 8. We'll put -8 in for x here, and then we'll put -8 in for x over here on this side. So when I put -8 in, is this true? Well, 4 times -8 is -32, minus 8 more would be -40. I get -40 on this side. What do I get over here? Well, 6 times -8 is -48. -48 plus 8 is -40. And I get the same thing on both sides. So yes, this is true. And of course, there's the answer right there. Okay. What about number 5? It says solve this equation. All right, so now when we solve, let me write it out here. 8x minus 7 equals 19x plus 15. We're going to solve this equation. Okay, well, the first thing, here's my equals right here. So I draw this little separator line so I can see the two sides a little better. This over here equals this over here. And the first thing I see is I've got my variable on both sides. To solve, you have to have your variable all completely on one side. So what I'll do is I'm just going to subtract this 19x on both sides. Okay, when I do that, 19x's, take away 19x's is going to be 0 x's or nothing. So this just goes away when I do that. When I subtract over here, 8x's minus 19x's, well, 8 minus 19 would be -11. So this is -11x's. I still have this minus 7. And over here, since that's gone now, all I have is 15. All right, so I've improved my equation because I got all my x's over here on this left side now. Okay, now the next thing I'll do is this 7, this minus 7, I need to get rid of it. Well, to get rid of a minus 7, I would add 7. And I add it to both sides. Now, I didn't explain this up here, but I'm going to add 7 to both sides. So this side goes up 7, this side will go up 7, but they'll still be equal. But what happens is this. Negative 7 plus 7 right here is a 0. That just goes away. And I have this negative 11x equals, and then when I do 15 plus 7 over here, I get 22. So I have negative 11 times x equals 22. And so to get rid of this negative 11 now, since this is negative 11 times x, I'll divide by negative 11 on both sides, which negative 11 divided by negative 11 cancels. 22 divided by negative 11 is negative 2. And there you go. I've solved for x now. X is negative 2, which that's what it said the answer was going to be. Okay. Let me explain this right here. If I have like 4 times 5 divided by 5, what would this be right here? 4 times 5 divided by 5. Well, 4 times 5 is 20. And then 20 divided by 5 would be 4. This equals 4. Well, actually what happens is these two just cancel each other. And that's 4. So if I have like, let's make something big, 32 times 57 divided by 32. What would this be right here? Well, there's no need in multiplying this out and dividing because these two just cancel each other. And it would just be 57. That's what's going on right here. When I have negative 11 times x, and I divide both sides by this negative 11, the negative 11s will cancel each other, just like the 32s will cancel each other here. So that's one of the premises we use to solve these equations. And here's another one, number 6. Okay, let me bring another piece of paper in here. This says solve this equation here. Okay, let me write it down. 7 times 3x plus 6 equals 11 minus x plus 2. All right, so we're going to solve this equation. All right, over here, well, here's my equals. So it separates into these two sides. So this equals this over here. Now, what I need to do here is I got to distribute this 7 because I got 7 times all this right here. So when I distribute, 7 times 3x is 21x. 7 times 6 would be a 42, positive 42. So there's what that side would be if I distribute. Now over here, I've got another distribute. I got a negative in front of this, which is like a negative 1, if you want to do that. So I've got this 11. I'm going to drop him down. But I've got negative 1 times x, which is negative 1x. And then I have negative 1 times 2, which is negative 2. Okay? And so I've distributed over here and got rid of these parentheses. Now, on this side, I've got like terms that go together. This 11 and then minus 2. So I'm going to just write this side over because nothing is like over here. No like terms on this side. But over here, 11 minus 2 would be 9. So this is 9 minus x. And now I've worked this thing down a little bit. And it's now like the previous problem was. I've got x's on both sides. You see that? So I need to get rid of my x's here. See how that's a negative x? So to get rid of this from this side, I'm going to have to add an x to both sides. So now this will go up whatever x is. This will go up whatever x is, but it's still equal. But what happens now, negative x plus x, this is going to zero out. And all I have over here is 9. Over here, 21x plus x would be 22x. And I still have the plus 42. All right, there you go. So let's continue this on down here. I've got 22x plus 42 equals 9. So now I got to get rid of this 42. Since I got my x's all on this side, I need to get rid of the 42. So I do that by minusing 42. 42 minus 42 goes away. That's a big 0. So I've got 22x. 22x equals 9 minus 42. Okay, that's going to be negative 33. All right. And now this is the same situation I was in a while ago. I got 22 times x. I got to get rid of the 22, which means I'll divide by 22 on both sides. And right here, now 22 divided by 22 will cancel, just like we talked about a minute ago. X equals negative 33 divided by 22. Now, what you can do is you just get your calculator and punch that in. Negative 33 divided by 22. Okay, make sure you can see that. That's negative 1.5. And usually we like our answers being fractions. So I'll just hit math, enter twice, and there you go. It's negative 3/2. That's what x equals. And that's my solution. And you can see that's what the answer was over here, negative 3/2. Okay. Now, what about number 7? Solve this equation right here. Okay, well, let's write that one down. 5/6x minus 3x plus 4/3 equals 5/3. Okay, now what causes a lot of people grief on this is all these fractions. And what you can do to make it a whole lot simpler is just get rid of your fractions by multiplying by the common denominator. If you look at your denominators, you got 6, a 3, and then you got a 3 again. What do all these numbers go into? Well, they all go into 6. And you want to stay low as possible. I mean, they all go into 24. They all go into 96. They all go into 1,024. Maybe not that. But anyway, you want to stay as low as possible, which is 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 6. All right, so when I multiply by 6 here, I'm going to have to distribute to all 3 of these. Okay, so when I do 6 times 5, 6, all right, well, the 6, this is 6 over 1. The 6's will cancel, which would just be a 5x there. Now, if you can't do the canceling, you just punch this in on the calculator, you know. You just go 6 times 5 divided by 6, which is 5x. Minus, now do 6 times 3x, well, that's 18x. Plus, now 6 times 4/3, all right, 6 times 4 divided by 3. 4 divided by 3 is 4/3. Oh, I hit divide for some reason. 6 times 4/3. Okay, that's 8. Here's my equals right there, my separator line. Over here, 5/3 times 6. All right, 5/3 times 6. 10. There you go. And now all our fractions are gone. So that's the thing to do here. Multiply by whatever your common denominator is, and then voila, all your fractions are gone. Now we have like terms right there. 5x's minus 18x's will be negative 13x's plus 8 equals 10. And now this is what we call 2 steps here. We've done several like this now. I'm going to minus 8 on both sides to make this go away. 8 minus 8 cancels. So I've got negative 13x equals 10 minus 8, which is 2. Okay. And then I got negative 13 times x, so I'm going to divide by negative 13 on both sides. And this will cancel, and x equals this right here. I can punch in the calculator. You can see the answer over here is negative 2 over 13, and that's what we have there. We got negative 2 over 13. When you have something like this, see my negatives in the bottom? Okay, look here. 2 over negative 13 is equal to negative 2 over positive 13, which is equal to negative out front, 2 over 13. So you could have your negative in the bottom, in the top, or in the front. All these are the same. So it doesn't matter if your negative's in the top or the bottom. It's the same, all 3 situations here. Okay, but that's my answer, negative 2/13. Okay, let's okay. Solve this equation right here. Okay, let's get it where you can see it a little better. All right, so we have 6x plus 6 minus 8, and then I got parentheses, x plus 1. And here's my equals right there where it separates the 2 sides that are equal here in this equation. Well, first thing I notice, I've got parentheses here to distribute. So I'm going to do that first. So I'm going to bring the 6x down, the plus 6 down. I'm not going to mess with those right now. Right here, I'm going to do, look here now, it's a negative 8. Negative 8 times these. Negative 8 times x is negative 8x. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. All right, equals, and over here, I just got 4x plus 3. I can't put these together because they're not like terms. That's an x term, and that's just a constant term. But now over here, I've got like terms to go together. Mainly right here, these two. 6x minus 8x. 6 minus 8 would be negative 2x. And then these two guys right here, those are like terms. Positive 6 minus 8 would be negative 2. And there we go. We just did a couple of steps here. And now we've got simplified as great as we can. But we've got like terms here with my variables on opposite sides. So I need to get my x's all on one side. So to do that, I'm going to minus 4x. Okay. When I minus 4x here, 4x's minus 4x's goes away. Over here, negative 2x's minus 4x's would be negative 6x's. And I got this minus 2. I'm going to bring him down. Over here, I got a 3. And this is just the same thing. This is a two-step equation. I add 2. Negative 2 plus 2 will go away. That gives me negative 6x equals a 5 over here. All right, and same situation as before. I'm going to divide by negative 6, which makes these cancel, and x equals negative 5 6. There's my answer, and that's what it said up here. All right, so we're in good shape. Okay. Solve this equation right here. Okay. 1/4 9t minus 5 equals t plus 5 over 8. Okay. Now to do this one, see, I've got fractions again. So I'm going to do the same thing I did a while ago. I'm going to find the common denominator here, which 4 and 8, they both go into 8. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 8. Okay. Now, when I multiply by 8 over here, well, 8 times 1/4 is 2. 8 times 1/4 is 2. So essentially, I'm going to have 2 times this right here. So when I do 8 times 1/4, this right here is 2 times this. So I got 2 times 9t, which is 18t. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Okay. Over here on this side, when I multiply by 8, well, I'm dividing by 8 right here. So these cancel like we've done earlier already. And that just gives me t plus 5. And now I've got an equation here like we've been solving. Here's my equals right there. And see this t? I need to minus a t on both sides. T minus t goes away. 18 t's minus a t would be 17 t's. Okay. And now I'm going to add 10, which makes this go away. So I've got 17t equals 15. 17 times t, I divide by 17. And then t equals 15 over 17. And we're good to go. That's what the answer is. Okay. Now, this one here, same thing, except it's got decimals. Okay, you just do the same routine. Just do your computations with decimals. So we'll do that. The answer for this one's 96, it says. Well, let's see. I got 0.5x minus 0.6 equals 0.4x plus 9. Okay. So here's my equals right here, and notice I got x's on both sides. We've got to get our x's all completely on one side. So it means I'm going to minus 0.4x over here, minus 0.4x. Okay. 0.4 minus 0.4 goes away. 0.5 minus 0.4 is 0.1x. And I'll bring this guy down. There you go. Okay. Now, Here's my x's right there. See this minus 0.6? I got to add 0.6 to get rid of him. Negative 0.6 plus 0.6 goes away. I've got 0.1x equals 9 plus 0.06 is 9.6. Okay. And now divide by 0.1. This will cancel. 0.1 divided by 0.1 cancels. I've got my x. Over here when I divide, I get 96. So it does come out to be 96. Now, what you can do, and I didn't tell that on these previous problems, but like we did the first, I think it was number 3 a while ago. Well, maybe it was number 4. We could put this 96 in. So if I put 96 in, I could check and see if that's the correct solution. So if I put 0.5 times 96, so I just punch this in, see, to see if we have the right solution. So I got 0.5 times 96 minus 0.6, and that gives me 47.4. So when I put 96 on this side, I get, let me write it here, 47.4 is what I get on this side. All right, what did I get when I put 96 in on that side? So I got 0.4 times 96 plus 9. And look at that, I get 47.4 again on this side. So I get the same value, which tells me I've got the correct solution. So that's how you can check these as you do them. Okay, number 11 here, I'm not going to do that one, but you could pause it and try yourself. There's the answer. Okay. So you pause this and try to solve this out yourself. There's the answer. Okay. Solve this one. Okay, that's similar to one we've done already. Okay. We'll try to go through that one. 0.14y plus 0.06, and then I got y plus 8,000 equals 1880. Okay, so we're going to solve this one. All right, well, right here, we've got to distribute this. I got to do 0.06 times all this. So this I drop down, because we're not really doing anything with that right now. 0.06 times y is 0.06y. 0.06 times 8,000. Okay, that's going to be 480, I think. And that's 1880 over there. We can't do nothing with that, so we just bring him down. But I distribute this times both of these. Okay? Now, when I do that, here's my equals right here. And if I notice on this side, I got like terms right there. So I just add those together. So now, 0.14y plus 0.06y would be 0.20y plus 480 equals 1880. Okay, now this right here is different from what we did a few minutes ago. See, these are on the same side. Here's my equals way over here, and these are on the same side, like terms, so we just add those together. We just do what it says. Now, if this was on the opposite side over here, you know, then I would have to subtract on both sides, but they're right here on the same side, so I just do what it says, which is 0.20. And now this is an equation like we've been doing here. I'm going to subtract 480. 480 minus 480 goes away. 0.20y equals, it's going to be, what, 1400? And I divide by 0.20. Those will cancel. Y equals, and this is going to be, let's see here, 7,000, I think. When I divide this 7,000, that's what the answer is supposed to be, so we're in good shape. Okay. Now, look at 13 here. Now, 13 has an issue here. I want to look at this. Let me explain these right here. A conditional equation. All the ones we've done so far have been conditional equations, because they're equations on the condition x equals that particular value. If we look at what we just did here, this is a conditional equation on the condition that y is 7,000. This equation is true only if y is 7,000. So that's a condition. That's a conditional equation. A contradiction is an equation that can't work out whatsoever. There's no possibility it can be equal. No value of x will make it work out. We'll look at one of those in a minute. An identity is an equation where both sides are equal no matter what x is. All right, that's what this one is right here. This one is an identity. Now, how do we know this one is an identity? All right, let me show you. Okay, so we've got 18, and I've got x minus 1 equals, and I've got negative 6, and I've got 3 minus x plus 12x. Okay, so we're going to solve this equation here. Well, I got to distribute here, so I do 18 times everything here, so 18 times x is 18x, 18 times negative 1 is negative 18. Okay, now what do I get over here? I got to distribute this one, so I do negative 6 times all this. So negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. Negative 6 times negative x would be a positive 6x. Negative 6 times, see, it's negative 6 times negative 1, which is a positive 6x. And then I got this, he just comes down. Okay, just drop him down. All right, now, here's my equals right there. And if I notice on this side, I got like terms right there. So let's leave this alone. Over here, this guy, we can just bring him down. Okay. Right there, 6x's plus 12x's is 18x's. Okay. Now right here, if you notice, now you may not notice this, but right here, I got 18x. I got 18x over there. I've got negative 18 and negative 18. I've got the same exact thing on both sides. So that's the key right now. You could tell this is going to be an identity. And so you could just stop right there and say, hey, this is an identity because I got the same exact thing on both sides. But if you don't notice that, if you don't notice you got the same thing on both sides, you do notice you got x's on both sides, so you would minus this off to get rid of it from over here. 18x minus 18x goes away. Well, when I subtract over here, 18x minus 18x, that goes away too. And so what happens here, we get into this situation where the x's zero out entirely on both sides. So what I have left, I've got a negative 18 here. I've got a negative 18 there. I look at what's left. Is what's left equal? Certainly. Negative 18 equals negative 18. So what's left is equal. That means we have an identity, which means any value of x would work. No matter what I put in for x, it's going to work out. Now, you could try that some. You could take value of x and put it on both sides, and it will work no matter what your value is, because this is an identity. Now, a contradiction would be, like, suppose I work this out and my x is zeroed out, whatever, and suppose what I had left was not equal. Then that means it's a contradiction, and there's no value of x to make it work out. So that would be a contradiction. Let's look at one like that. Okay, right here, 14, it says it's supposed to be a contradiction. All right, well, let's solve it out and see. So I've got 6v plus 3 minus 2v equals 2v plus 2 minus 5. Okay. So I distribute here. Here's my equals right there. Okay. I distribute right here. 6 times all this in here. So 6 times v is 6v. 6 times 3 would be 18. I got minus 2v, and then here's my equals. Over here, I got to distribute that guy. So I got to distribute to all this. So 2 times 2v would be 4v. 2 times 2 would be 4. And then I got minus 5. Okay. Now let's add our like terms together. So I've got right here 6v minus 2v would be 4v. And I got plus 18. Over here, I got my 4v here. And then these two, 4 minus 5 would be negative 1. So add your like terms together. Okay, now right here, you can figure this out from here. See, I've got 4v on both sides, and those are the same. See, I've got 18 and I got negative 1. I've got the same v variable on both sides, 4v and 4v, but these are different, which means this is going to be a contradiction. But now if you don't notice that, that's fine. You can just go ahead and solve it. Subtract 4v, because I got to have my v's all on one side, don't I? And this goes away here. 4 minus 4, that goes away. But it also goes away over there too. So my v's zero out entirely, which means we're going to have one of these special cases. I look at what's left. Over here I've got an 18. Over here I got a negative 1. Is what's left equal? No, it's not equal, which means there's no solution here. There's no solution that works in this problem. Sometimes our problems we have don't have solutions. And that's what we have right here. So this is what we call a contradiction. There's no solution. Okay? All right. Here's this one here. I'll let you try this one. You try this one on your own. You can see down here, this is a contradiction also. Okay? So you might pause this and try solving it on your own, but it's a contradiction. What about 16 down here? Okay, let you try this one. We've done one similar to this. Solve this out. All right, this is an identity. All real numbers. This is going to be an identity like we did a while ago. Here's the identity we did just a few minutes ago. See, we end up, the x is zero out, and what's left is equal. So that would be an identity. That's what this one is. So you can pause the video and try yourself, and it should come out to be the same thing on both sides. Okay, we're getting close to wrapping up here. We're wrapping up on that part. Now this is something that's a little different. Solve the given formula for an indicated variable. We've got this equation right here. Here's my equation. We want to solve this for the variable h. Okay? So now let's write right here. S equals 6LW plus 6WH plus 5HL. We want to solve this for h. So if you notice, here's a h right there, here's a h right there, and that's it. So what I want to do is, I want to get my h terms on one side, which means I'm going to have to subtract this 6LW. Which means I have S minus 6LW equals, and over here I've got 6WH plus 5HL. Okay? And my h variable is over here on this side. Okay? Now what I'm going to have to do is, since my h is here and here, I need to factor that out of those expressions. So I'm going to factor it out, which means if I take the h out of this one, I'm going to have 6w. And if I take h out of that one, I'm going to have 5l. All right, so that equals s minus 6lw over here. Okay, and then here we go. Here's the last step. H times this equals this over here. See, here's my equals right there. So what I'll do is I'll divide both sides by 6w plus 5l. When I do this, will cancel off just like other things we've done cancels off, and I have h over here all by itself. H equals this right here, s minus 6lw divided by 6w plus 5l. And there you go, there's what h equals. I've solved for h, which is what it's wanting us to do up here. And you can see that's what we got. Okay. What about this one? Solve this one for x. All right, here, let me get another paper. We've got 2x minus a plus 3b equals 3x plus a. Okay, solve this one for x, it says. All right, here's x in there. I need to distribute this guy. I need to distribute this. Now that's an a right there. It kind of looks like a 9. But that's 2 times x, which is 2x, and then 2 times negative a is negative 2a. Plus 3b equals, and I got 3x plus a over here. Now we're solving, keep in mind now we're solving for x on this thing. So I need to get my x ones together. Here's my equals, okay? And there's an x term there, and here's one there. I need to get those together, and the rest of this stuff I need to get that together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to minus 3x on both sides. This will go away, so I have 2x minus 3. Those will go together. So 2 minus 3 will be negative 1x. Minus 2a plus 3b equals a over there. So here's my x term. Now, both of these guys need to go. So I'm going to add 2a to both sides, and I'm going to subtract 3b on both sides. And I got rid of both of them at the same time, which means I got negative x over here equals, over there, a, that's 1a plus 2a would be 3a minus 3b. Okay? And so this is negative 1x, so I can divide by negative 1. So x equals, and I've got 3a minus 3b divided by negative 1, which means I divide both of these by negative 1. So 3a divided by negative 1 will be negative 3a, and then negative 3b divided by negative 1 will be a positive 3b. And there you go, there's what x is. Now if you notice over here, they switched them. See, they just put the 3b first, and then the minus 3a, put that second. So this is how they put it. I believe if you put it in that way right there, it will count it right on the computer. Okay. Now, solve this one for x right here. It's a similar thing. Nx plus b equals 7x minus n. Here's my equals. I need to distribute over here, so we should be good at that now. 7 times x is 7x. 7 times negative n is negative 7n. Okay, now be reminded here we're solving for x on this one. So we need to get my x terms here, so I'm going to minus 7x on both sides, which makes this go away. So I have nx minus 7x plus b here, I got this plus b, equals negative 7n. All right, so my x terms are over here together. The b, we need to get rid of him, so I minus b. And that'll go away. So I have nx minus 7x equals negative 7n minus b over there. Oh man, I ran off it. Didn't realize it wasn't on the screen there. All right, so you see my work I did here. Now, here's x, my x terms, so I'm going to do like I did earlier. I'm going to factor it out. So if I take the x out of this one, I'll have just the n minus. And if I take the x out of this one, I'll have the 7. All right, so I have x times this, so I'm going to divide both sides by this, which makes this cancel. All right. Now, look at what they've got here. Now, I think if you put this in, I think it'll be okay. But what they have here is they factored a negative out. See, both of these are negative. So what they've done was they made them both positive. So it means they just did this right here. They took the negative out. Here they switched those. N minus 7, they put 7 minus n, if you notice, which is the opposite of that. And then they just canceled the negatives out. Let me explain what they did right here on this. 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay. 3 minus 2 is 1. If I switch those, 2 minus 3 is negative 1. These are opposites. So if I switch these over subtract, I get the opposites. So that's what happened down here on this. Okay. All right. On number 20, the equation F equals 9/5 C plus 32 gives the Fahrenheit temperature and corresponding Celsius temperature. You wonder what the difference is in Fahrenheit and Celsius? Well, here's the equation that does it right there. That tells you the relationship between Fahrenheit and Celsius. it says find the Fahrenheit temperature equivalent to 35 degrees Celsius. What is 35 degrees Celsius? How warm is that? That's actually pretty comfortable. It's actually too hot. The answer is 95. But how do you get that? Well, if that's your Celsius, you're just going to put that value in. So let me do this right here. F equals 9/5 C plus 32. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 35 right here for C. So F is going to equal 9/5 times 35 plus 32. And you can just punch this in the calculator if you want to. All right, so let's just do 9/5, 9 divided by 5. Okay. Times 35, and then plus 32. And look at that, I got 95. The Fahrenheit temperature is 95. Okay. All right, now, same thing goes here. Okay. Same thing here. Convert to Celsius using this formula. So if my Fahrenheit's 193, I put 193 in and I'll solve this out. Now, what you can do here is the Celsius degrees will be 5/9 times, I'm going to put 89.4 in for F. Okay, and now this here, you could type it all in your calculator all at one time. So I'm just going to do 5/9, and in parentheses, I'm going to have 89.4 minus 32 in parentheses. Okay, you see how I did all that? And it comes out to 31.8. We made a mistake here. Oh, okay. I put the answer in. That's what I did wrong. I didn't put 193 in. All right, so that's what 89.4 would be, is 31.8. Let's go back and change this to 193. So let's put 193 here. Okay. You should have told me I was making a mistake. So I'm going to do 5 divided by 9, and then I do 193 minus 32. Okay. There you go, 89.4. All right, so that's what you do on that. And then we have a couple more problems like we did earlier. Okay, I'll leave these on there where you could pause them and try them yourself. Here's this problem here, and there's the answer. Okay, and on this one, here's this problem, and there's the answer. So you try those yourself and see if you don't get these answers. All right. So I think that concludes our lesson here. Linear equations, college algebra, lesson 1.1, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.